Sports. I'm Vince, and I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. Stevie D, a lot of changes in the air. As you can see, we have kind of going through a little bit of a branding change, right? We're still official word sports, but we changed it to OWSports.net. As you can see, the hat very, very nicely done, courtesy of some of our good friends that are out there. So yeah, you can check us out at OWSports.net, or if you have us saved to your favorites, you can always check us out at officialwordsports.com. But it's exciting, Stevie D. We're kind of taking this in a different direction since you suggested that we do. Oh yeah, I got to give you kudos, give you props, since you decided to recommend that we go with more of a video live stream type broadcast, because you remember in the past we were just audio only, right?
Yep.
Listening to on your podcast platforms and however you want to do that. But you said, yo, let's go live. And so since we went live, we've seen some changes, seen some improvement, seen some growth. And that's what forced the change again to OWSports.net. It's .net.com, not .com, right? We got to make sure we get that clear. So they even put the .net up there, which I appreciate. So and then hopefully we'll have some changes coming into the future. Well, there's Dana. Hey, Dana, how are you? Yes, rocking the jersey, absolutely, with the hat.
Well, Vince, part of that video platform, what's great about this is that we're able to interactively, talk with Dana, Terry, big fan of the show, Terry, right? And folks coming in through Facebook with their comments and questions and things like that. And we can adjust on the fly and talk about different topics, right? Because I know Dana is, wants to talk about the New York Jets and stuff. So, I think that's great. But it's great. No,
knows who the New York Jets are.
No, probably not. Well, who wants to know who the New York Jets are right now? I mean, we're the toilet bowl of the NFL, right? We're like the new Cleveland Browns. So
Dana knows about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
he knows about the Bills.
Yeah.
Bills Mafia. Not yet an honorary member. There he is. There he is interacting. No, sir, not the Jets.
Not this time.
You know what? We have to talk about the Jets. Like,
yes.
How can we not talk about the Jets? Because the Jets, they had a big game. They played a big division rival this week, and
well, I don't know if we played. Well, we were there.
On paper, they were playing a big time division rival, right? And unfortunately, the odds and the odds makers did not have it really projected to go their way, right? We will say that, but got a little ugly out there. Yeah. It got a little ugly. There. Look at Dana is active today. He is hot. He is hot. But it didn't really go the Jets' way. The opponent that they were playing. Let me just put it to you like this, right? The opponent they were playing lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars the week before. 9-6. It wasn't even a close game, right? The score may have been indicating that it was a close game, but it was a mess. It was a complete mess, and we talked about that. So then their head coach decided that he was going to have a meeting and hold players accountable, right? That's not good for the Jets either.
No. I knew that 9-6 game. It was not going to be good when you're playing a not a good football team and your coach just lights into you for an embarrassment of a game. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to end well. And I Sean McDermott, I think, made a statement to everybody in that offensive side of the ball is you're playing with 4 minutes left in the game in a blowout. And Josh Allen stayed in and your offense stayed in. And I think he was making a statement to the players, like, we can't have what we had last week, and you're going to play and you're going to get your butts together and off we go. I know you don't like it. I don't like
the statement because, and I'll tell you, early in the fourth.
There was a shot. Somebody took a shot.
You had Isaiah McKenzie, right?
Yeah. With the ankle or whatever.
Yeah. right? Obviously in the red zone, looking to put up more points. I'm okay
Mhm.
with putting up points, right? And to McKenzie's not a starter, right? He's your punt returner. Um, but for the fact of him getting hurt, big picture, Sean, Josh Allen could have got hurt,
Yeah.
right? And we see freak accidents all the time.
And not even a freak accident. Think about a Jet player. I just got embarrassed again on defense for the third week in a row, and I'm going to take a cheap shot,
Yeah,
right? It just takes one cheap shot, lower at the leg, and it's not good for the Buffalo Bills. It's not good for the NFL because you don't want to see that a star go down because a team
and
is
that's why you
frustrated.
get him out, right?
Yeah.
I know you don't like him.
Who?
Tua, when he was playing for Alabama, I think they were playing Texas A&M up 45-3.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Left him in the game. There's no need for that, right? If you had a message to prove, Sean McDermott, you proved that in quarter one, quarter two, and quarter three. At that point, the game was well in control.
Oh, well in hand.
Well out of hand. The
Mhm.
Jets hadn't even scored a touchdown, I don't think, yet at that point. You pull everybody out. This is perfect time. You got your message across. They perform admirably for 45 of the 60 minutes. Now you let Davis Webb come in. Obviously Isaiah McKenzie would have had to been the receiver in there, but you let him come in. You bring the Dawson Knox out. You bring the Stephon Diggs. You bring these guys out. Sit on the sideline. I don't want to see any laughing and joking around, right? Because if you want to be in that game business focused mentality, there's no fooling around on the sideline, right? You stay vested in there. Josh, I want the earpiece in your ear. I want you hearing and seeing what's going on out there, but keep them safe, right? Keep them away. But that didn't happen.
I know because you were not happy about it. I know that. So through messaging during the game.
I really question uh, the head coach for the Jets. I'm really starting to believe that he is way too deep over his head. Now I don't follow them as religiously as you do, right? But I see certain things that happen, and you start to question it. Third quarter, I believe it is. Allen throws a little fade pattern to Diggs side of the end zone. Now
Oh yeah.
prior to that, the starter at the time, who I think was a backup, right?
Eccles.
He was
Eccles.
a backup, but he was the starter for the game.
Yeah. So Eccles got hurt, and they brought in Guidry,
And
the
so
fifth
right,
string
they bring in Gidry.
corner. I mean, we're out of corners, we're out of safeties, and so
And
it's
so if you think about it, he's your third corner, right? Because
he's our third
out.
corner today, but in our normal rotation, if everybody's healthy, he probably doesn't even dress.
Okay.
So just to make sure everybody understands that.
See how far
Yeah.
down the line
Yeah.
he is,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So you know that they're going to pick out. I mean, I actually think they threw a pass his direction prior to getting close to
Mm-hmm.
the red zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two digs to get him
Mm-hmm.
down there.
I know. I texted you right after that next play.
Yeah. And then they throw the fade route in the end zone again. Same
Hell
guy.
of a catch. Hell of a catch.
Great catch. But he's out of bounds, right?
Yes.
Then they go back again, and Salah leaves him again on
an island. I don't understand that. I don't understand it at all. What's the old saying is why would you let Diggs beat you? You let Diggs beat you all game long. He beat you. Why wouldn't you give your young, inexperienced corners some help on Diggs?
That's what you had to do, right?
Because I'd rather get beat by Beasley, Dawson Knox, Singleton. I don't want to be beat by Diggs. And Diggs, had his breakout game finally of the year because he has been pretty bottled up all year, I think. Again, I don't follow your team, but he had that breakout game this week. What do you have, like 180, 190 yards receiving, something like that?
He actually threw up over 100. I think it was 160. Yeah, he did. Yeah. But Stevie D, and this is really the question to you. You kind of answered it. Why wouldn't you at least roll some sort of help, safety, linebacker. I mean, you're in the red zone, so you could have had a linebacker who would have had the underneath, right? At least create a shadow of a doubt.
Well, the problem with our linebackers are the linebackers that we have. I don't even know if we're capable to even do that right now because outside of Mosley, we got there are all our linebackers are hurt. And Davis came back, but he's still getting in the swing of things. I guess Davis that we brought in from the Lions, Gerard Davis. But other than that, I mean, we're depleted everywhere from the defensive. The defensive line is healthy. It's everybody outside of that. We're picking people off people's practice squads because we need bodies, and that's how banged up we are. But again, at the end of the day, whether it's a linebacker, it's a safety, you got to give help on that side of the field. You have to give help, man. This guy's torching you.
It's almost as if Salah was trying to prove a point to maybe Joe Douglas, right? It almost had that type of feel like this is what you wanted, this is what you gave me, and so here you go, right? I'm going to let this guy stay out there in the island. And Josh and Diggs, they were going at it, right? 17 plus 14 equals 6, right? And that's what it was. All Anyways, right? Not to harp on that. Another takeaway from that was the comments of one Rex Ryan, which was very interesting because Rex. When you listen to the Jet pundits that are out there, and even to the fans, right, and the podcasters, right, when you listen to them, Rex had inherited a decent Jets team.
He did.
He made a few tweaks to the defense, put his defensive style, his brand in there, and saw some early success, right?
Yeah.
And then when Rex was more in control of the overall 53-man roster, you started to see the defense fall in love with certain players, and I think you were kind of going over all of that with me. I mean, please share that.
Look. And Rex Ryan came in 2009. He inherited Eric Mangini's team. That was the team, if folks don't remember, it was the Brett Favre year, right? The Jets were 8-5. Looking good, and Favre gets hurt in his throwing shoulder. Doesn't want to come out because he's Brett Favre. I got this game streak going on. Finishes out the year, and we finished 9-7, missed the playoffs. Mangini gets fired. Okay, but who did Rex Ryan inherit? DeBrickashaw Ferguson, left tackle, excuse me. Nick Mangold, first-time All-Pro center year after year. Brandon Moore, right guard. Right, so there was pieces on the offensive line that were stout. Right, Jets bring in Alan Faneca. Right, he's in the Hall of Fame. That line was pretty darn good when Rex Ryan took over. Right, you had Darrelle Revis already there. Right, so he had pieces there that came over. They did the ground and pound. Now I'll give Rex Ryan credit.
Look who's there. SLT in the house. SLT.
Right, so you have all those pieces coming in Rex. I give Rex credit. He did mold the defense. What I think he done really well with the Jets, because the Jets couldn't generate pass rush. He got exotic with his schemes and his blitzes and disguise packages, and I thought he did very well. Did very well with the defense. Then what happened? Right, we went to the AFC Championship game in 2009, 2010. Things were looking good in 2010, 11-5. Got to the AFC Championship game. Following year, we go to 8-8, and then we go to 6-10. Then we go to 4-12. Kind of like what you're saying, right? All of a sudden, Rex has more control of the 53. He's a one-dimensional coach that only cares about defense, and that's all he cared about. You heard him talk about it. The defense will pick up the offense. We'll pick up the No. You all work in unison together as one unit. You don't put your defense up on a pedestal. You're all one, and that was the downfall to Rex. And his bravado was so large. And Rex, you didn't do anything outside of those 2 years with a team that was pretty much handed to you. Thomas Jones handed to you, right? Because Thomas Jones was huge in 2009. Huge in 2009. Thomas Jones, the 1,400 yards rushing, ground and pound was awesome there, right? Helped Mark Sanchez. And again, you didn't develop Mark Sanchez.
Who else is here? Your brother.
Oh, look, we're finally showing up.
right? It's about time.
Because all it knows you don't want to talk about fantasy football.
But see, we'll get to that in a minute. But Stevie D, when you look at what was going on between Rex and Salah this week, right? So
Rex works for ESPN, and he's trying to make headlines. I mean,
now think
he's
about
taking shots.
From Rex says this guy is supposed to be a defensive guru, which he's supposed to be coming out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Rex then says, I take it personal. Everything I heard this guy was a lot like myself. So they were comparing defensive gurus to each other, right? Rex still kind of has that honor. Buffalo took him because of defense, but without the bad part. Some of the bad part you need because this team doesn't want to play with any heart. This thing is disappointing to me. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really finding any issue with what Rex said, right?
Well,
but here's where the pressure gets to you is when Robert Salah says, and he said, I never met Rex, never had a conversation with him. He said, obviously, if it's that personal for him, he knows where to find me. Well, I think you kind of took it too far, right? Maybe it's because you just got finished getting your door blown off, and now you have to try to come back and you want to show bravado and everything else like that. I didn't find anything wrong with Rex.
Well, Rex likes to stick his nose with the Jets because he's got a burnt butt because he got fired from the Jets, right? So he's got something.
So here comes Lamar and goes straight to let's talk about Bills playoff wins at the Downer in 21. Yeah. Lamar, it's not that show yet. We will have that show about the Sundowner, but it's not time. This is a family-friendly show right here.
Ooh, that type of place.
Oh, family-friendly. This is family-friendly.
Okay.
1 against 2.
AJ, come on now. I got wide shoulders, my friend. I can take it all. I got no problems.
Oh, wow. So, but back to Salah. I mean, are you defending him?
I think you're making a bigger deal about the statement. He was asked a question. I don't know what he's supposed to say. Next question. He answered it. He said, I don't know him personally, but if he's got something there, come talk to me.
The guy says, obviously, if it's that personal for him, he knows where to find me.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious.
I don't know what he knows where to find me means.
Right. If you think he wants to fight him, Hefty Rex don't have a shot against Robert Salah.
Oh, there she is. Hey, Terry, how are you?
At the end of the day, I don't have a problem with Salah said. I really don't have a problem.
Steve,
I truly don't. I don't. What?
He knows where to find me. If you go into the psyche, by him saying he knows where to find me, he's not focused. He's trying to retaliate to what he considers,
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't. I'll just say it. I don't agree with that. I think it's a question. I think it's a question on the podium. He was caught off guard by it. He probably didn't even know about the comments. Somebody repeated the comments, and he said what he said. I don't see what the big deal is about it.
Then why say that part? He could say, I don't know who this guy is, and I've never met him. But it is what it is. He's a commentator for ESPN.
Look, I think there's an ego thing that comes in. Look, you got a problem. You know where to find me, right? I think there's just an ego thing. You're going to attack me, and he said it. I don't have a problem with it. It's just like everything else. People like to nitpick what people like to say. It's the same thing when I listen to the New York reporters ask Robert Salah 20 questions on Zach Wilson, and it's 20 questions, all the same questions over and over again, changing out a word here or there, but ultimately the same thing. It's, being a coach for a team in, down in the City Life area, it's tough when you have all these reporters and everybody looking to write a story and you get silly questions over and over again. I shake my head. I'm like, we're talking about Zach Wilson and Mike White. The bigger question is how are you going to solve your linebacker problem? How are you going to solve the corner and the safety problems you got? What are you doing there? Why do we have to ask 20 questions on the quarterback when we know the guy's out for 4 weeks?
I would have appreciated from the New York media, how do you allow the Buffalo Bills to attack you, same player time after time? Answer that question for me.
Right, sure. And I think Robert Sala would more invite that type of question if they asked it, but nobody asked that question. Oh, yeah, somebody did ask that question, and I don't remember his response, but somebody did ask him in the post game that question, like, why wouldn't you give Guidry help on the touchdown? You're right. The guy's coming in off the bench. You saw the pass before. You got lucky.
Right.
And then you went right back to it, and you got burned. So, but look, at the end of the day, I think we all know there was no surprise there that Buffalo was going to do a butt whipping there. It wasn't going to be a football game. And, from a New York Jets perspective, at the end of the day, I'm not even worried about the defense. It's sad to say, I'm not even worried about the defense. They're so hurt and banged up that there's nothing you can do to solve this problem this year. You can't do it because you can't bring anybody off the ground.
Ooh.
Wait, let me tell you something, Terry. You better hope and pray. You just got to remember, what goes around comes around, Terry. Just remember.
Yeah.
Goes around comes around. So if you want to talk that early, and if your team, you see, Vince, you're flashing this stuff up on the screen, so you got to be careful.
No, I'm putting it out there because we certainly do appreciate the comments from all of our viewers and from our listeners. However, Terry, I'm going to, at least try to bestow some of the past heartache and bad judgment plays on my part.
Do you remember, Vince, about when we used to play Madden football? Do you remember the times I'd say, you better be careful, I'm going to put the whammy on a certain player?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And what would happen to that Buffalo player?
Oh, it happened.
Not a fluke. Time and time, right?
There's no doubt it's real. But
so I am going to be passive. I'm going to be passive on this. I'm going to let it go because you know what? I like Terry. I like Terry's energy. I like her fire and her passion about her Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to let it go, and I'm not going to do any whammies. Partially because the guy that you're wearing is on my fantasy football team, so I don't want to take any chances on anything because I'm trying to beat out Jay.
I'm just going to give out a PSA, right? When you have to play a team twice, just because you beat them by 28 points in one game, you don't say anything until after the second game, right? Because you never know what could happen, right?
Look at the New England Patriots. They beat the Jets 45-3 on national TV.
Here comes Jay. Huh? Jay, if you want to talk so much, then turn on that camera.
Come on.
Camera, come into the octagon. Let's see you get down. I don't think you have it in you.
I think he doesn't want to come on the show because he thought he had the best fantasy football team out there. And then all of a sudden, you know what? I guess he doesn't. And look who came up and who's in first place.
Yeah, I can't talk fantasy. 1-9. 1-9.
The same, Jay. What do you got, Jay? What do you got? Come on the show, Jay. Come on.
Well, Stevie D, a couple things though before we segue away from the Bills game. I do want to talk about what the Bills did.
I guess you wanted to Bills game. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I do. Oh, look at Jay. I need to win.
Yeah, he's trying to pull off all these miracle trades here to take out number one.
I'm coming in second. I'm in second cover for you. Okay. But no, one of the things, interesting things, Buffalo has been out of the shotgun the entire season. And what they did was, and I'm not sure if this is a Brian Dable, I'm not sure Sean McDermott, but the game plan, Allen came under center. And you saw different looks, right? They were in 12 personnel. They ran a little bit out of 11 personnel. But it created more deception. Now, granted, I know we're playing the Jets defense, but bear with me. It gave more deception for the run-pass options. You had more in the play-action pass. You had more in the screens. Didn't really jumpstart the running game as much. The Bills ran for 139 yards deceptively because it was split between 3 and 4 backs, right? But when you come out of the gun, you're almost 95% that you're throwing the ball, right? You may get a draw or something with speed option, when you're under center, now the defense doesn't really know exactly what you're doing. And it kind of opens it up. It gives you time, right? Because now you can slow down that blitz, right? You have more deception. You give time for the routes to take place, right? Because you're still having to drop back into that 3, 5, or 7 step drop. Now you can allow your receivers to do what they need to do. There's a lot of the benefit to going straight under the center than to come out of shotgun. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to do this for the rest of the season, but it certainly opened up that playbook.
I used the term "get right game" this year. I've used that term quite a bit, and for different teams. And I
plays the Jets.
Well, pretty much right now, that's where it's going to be, right? With the historically bad defense. I mean, it's historic. That they've set a record there for 4 games in a row where historically bad, the worst defense the NFL's ever seen for 4-game stretch. So, but at the end of the day, you're still playing professionals, right? Whether they're first stringers, third stringers, it doesn't matter. You're playing professionals that are getting paid to play a game, and you guys have to strap it up and get it done. And this was a get right game for the Buffalo Bills, and you know what? They did that. Look, your defense didn't need to get right. The Jets wouldn't have scored a touchdown if the Bills didn't loosen up there in the fourth quarter to give them the yards. I mean, let's call it what it is. They loosened up the game just to get the time moving and allow the Jets to get a couple of garbage touchdowns at the end. At the end of the day, the Buffalo defense did what they needed to do for a little over 3+ quarters, and showed the Jets and Mike White, like, dude, you're a fluke. Get out of our face. You're done, right? But from an offensive side of the ball,
Hall of Fame guy.
Well, he is in the Hall of Fame. Jay's probably going to say it. I told you it was only worth the 6th or 7th round pick.
You had the opportunity to trade him.
But in all seriousness, from the Buffalo offensive side of the ball, you had to be excited. You put up 45 points. You moved the ball. It doesn't matter what was on the other side. You can't help what's on the other side. Those guys are paid to stop you, and they couldn't. And you did what you needed to do. You put up 45 points. Josh threw the ball well. Your receivers caught the ball well. You got the running at 139 yards, like you said. I was just pissed that they had so many rushing touchdowns. I mean, Josh, you need to throw it so I get the fantasy points. I'll let it go this time, but, let's go, buddy. Right? So
well, the funny thing is they had 3 rushing touchdowns, and Allen had none of them.
I was pissed. But really, in all seriousness, from the Buffalo Bills, you're going into your next week's game. You got to feel good that, you know what, you had some really good offensive plays, explosive plays. You spread the ball around, and hopefully you continue your track.
Before we move away from the Bills, did you know that all members of the secondary recorded a turnover?
No, I didn't know that. Well, there was definitely enough turnovers to go around.
Yes, a lot to be had out there.
Who was your linebacker that replaced Edmonds?
AJ Klein.
AJ Klein. He played a heck of a game.
He did.
If he's not a starter, is he not a starter, or they just moved him over? He's not. Let me tell you something. He played a really good game. I wanted to say that about AJ Klein. I thought he played a really good middle linebacker for the Bills.
Yeah, I was happy with his play because I thought with Edmonds out, Edmonds has that speed. Sideline to sideline. But, it was really cool to see all the guys in the defense kind of get into the party. So we do thank Mike White. You were kind of battling Nathan Peterman. So I'm sure for Jet fans who were laughing at the Bills when we played the Chargers and Nathan Peterman just decided that he was just going to throw pick after pick after pick after pick.
6.
After pick. 5.
6.
5.
I thought he had a 6-pick game.
5.
Well, Mike White didn't have 6. He had 4.
Yeah, he had 4. So he was 1 away. Credit to Mike White. They all didn't happen in the first quarter.
That's right.
So he was able to space this out a little bit, and good for him. Good for him. So CBD, as we transition away from that, who do you guys have coming up?
Miami.
Could get a win.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know if we'll get a win. Our defense is in shambles, and I don't see it. And we got Joe Flacco starting for the New York Jets.
Not gonna get the win. And he quit. All right, he quit.
Yeah.
Now you were saying that he had to sign off on coming back.
Yeah.
You last time you were here and you had the uniform on, you quit in the
No,
middle of the game.
well, but beside all that, right? So the Jet fans and a lot of the New York media is they don't understand why Joe Flacco was starting. And quite frankly, I really don't understand why Joe Flacco is starting over Mike White. Joe Flacco is not a Jet next year, right? You traded for him. Why? Because you had Josh Johnson. So I don't know what the need was because you wanted 3 quarterbacks in the room. So you made a trade for Joe Flacco, maybe because he knows some of the offense he's worked with LaFleur in the past. Okay, whatever. But what's interesting, and because I'm really confused and puzzled why Mike White's not starting, even if you had a horrible game, you're still trying to figure out what you have for a backup long term. Because you know Zach Wilson's going to be your starter no matter what anyway. I mean, if anybody thought Mike White was going to really upseat Zach Wilson, it wasn't going to happen, right? But at the end of the day, you got to know what you have long term with Mike White. So why wouldn't you play him? You're 2-7. Doesn't make sense. The only thing I could come up with is that he had a waive his no trade. And I think in the negotiations on the trade, they brought Joe Flacco in to Joe Douglas, and they said, look, I'll waive it, but I need to start a game. I have to start. I'm not coming here just to be the 4th guy, not dress or whatnot or whatever. You got to put me in and play me.
But you weren't starting where you were.
Yeah, understood. But maybe he looked at it as like, look, if I'm going to uproot my life and now go from Philly to Jersey, right, it's
big move.
No, I know. It doesn't sound like much, but you know what? What am I going to get out of it? He's like, I'm not going to play on the Jalen Hurts. So if I'm coming over here, I got a hurt quarterback. I want to play.
You're getting a paycheck. You're getting a paycheck.
Yeah, but we don't know what that. I'm trying to figure out why Mike White's not playing.
As to why Mike White isn't starting, because Mike White should stay in there all the way through until Zach is ready.
Yes.
You've already ended the speculation of him replacing Zach Wilson. Yeah. That's done. He could throw for another 500 yards. That's done, right? Flacco, who I have little to no respect for Flacco for what he did on the field. He didn't quit physically, just walk off, which I think is what he did was worse. Is that you quit on the field, right? You put your players in danger because you're throwing balls high, you're throwing it in the ground because you don't care, right? You got 10 other guys that are there battling for you. I've lost complete and total respect. To your point, though, why is he starting? If he's starting because of the performance of Mike White, again, boo on you, Robert Salah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Big deal. What's for? You're 2-7.
Exactly.
What do you think you're going to do? You're going to go on an 8-game winning streak to finish 10-7? No, you're not. Right? So, I mean,
so
please.
Weird when you say 10-7, it's supposed to be 10-6. It's supposed to be 9-7. It's supposed to be 13-3. It's just killing me. The 17th.
Hey, the Pittsburgh Steelers can go 10-6.
There we go. And let's talk about that.
Not that I want to deflect from the Jets, but
so obviously our game was stretching on a little long, and I'll be the first to admit it got to a point where for me, and
you laugh. I'm still watching the game, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I switched games." I was like, "What?"
I had to go. I was like, "Oh." I was getting mad at McDermott for leaving everybody in.
But I just want to tell the fans, I stayed. I watched. My co-host, but as a Jet fan, getting beat down, I stayed and watched the game. I didn't walk away.
But as a responsible host to Official Word Sports, I need to be versed in all games that are going on. I left that game because I already knew what was going to happen, and I moved to the Lions.
No loyalty to my team.
Okay. I moved to the Lions and the Steelers game, and unbeknownst to me, 16-16. I was like, oh, we got a game here. What's going on, right? We have an upset in the making. I hadn't watched the full 4 quarters, so I don't know really what was going on. But here I am, right? Just in a trance like, please, Detroit, win. A, I'd like you to get a win and get off the schneid. B, getting a win kind of moves the Steelers down because Buffalo graciously gave them week 1, right? Then I watched this overtime. And I think our game ended and you came in. There's not a lot I can say about this game, right? You want to say the weather and the bad conditions, I'll hear that, right? But what I saw was the Lions. The Lions win the toss, right? The Lions get the ball, they get out to the 25. All of a sudden, they hit one pass to, I think his name is St. Brown. Guy makes a cut, goes to the sideline. They're at midfield, right? First play, 25 yards, they're at midfield, right? You're already starting to calculate, well, at least we can kick the field goal. Then Jared Goff takes over.
Brutal game. Brutal from the statistics side, anyway.
Oh, Jared Goff takes over. And whatever. It just started to steamroll, right? Next thing you know, they end up punting. Then you have the Steelers. They get the ball, like second play, intercepted. Like, what's going on here, right? And then the Lions go to kick a field goal thinking, hey, we got a shot to win. We can kick the field goal. It wasn't tipped. It wasn't a bad snap. Laces were out. Everything you want to say. I have no idea what this kicker did.
He miskicked it. I mean,
it didn't even get close off the line of scrimmage.
I wondered if he hit the grass. But I watched the replay and I didn't see any grass kicking up. I'm like, how can you literally kick a line drive football like 15 feet off the ground? It never went like 15, like the height is the goalpost, right? You know, the crossbar, that's about as high as it went. That is weird.
You're like, only the Lions, right? This is the Lions being the Lions.
Yeah.
So then
but no, that's not it. That's not in OT. There's a lot more to go.
Oh, absolutely, right? So
I think the team so much action in a 10-minute overtime game.
You got the Steelers who now like, okay, we got the ball, we got our manifest destiny. We're gonna go down there. They little by little they're getting down there. You got to get out of bounds, all this kind of stuff. They get there, they're basically in field goal range. They have a good, legitimate kicker. They're in field. Got greedy for the extra yards. Throw it to, the sure-handed tight end. He's on the sideline. Step out of bounds. No, you decide you want to cut it up. Here comes the safety. Puts helmet on the ball. Boop. Like, you got to be kidding me. And the ball stayed in bounds and just landed right there.
That was Johnson. I think the wide receiver. Was that Johnson?
It was Fairbanks, the tight end.
Okay.
My daily fantasy tight end. Because I was like, go. Well, no. And so then, after that, then, they did the hook and ladder and whatever it was, just ended the game. I do have a question on that hook and ladder. We've talked about this before. Can somebody please coach this play effectively? And if somebody on the team doesn't do what they're supposed to do, then they need to be pulled out. Right?
Well, why wouldn't you? Well, you're right. To your point, I don't know how you don't clear out that one side of the field. So when that guy catches it and he tosses it that way, he's got an easy run down the sideline. Why would you run that play where you have 4 defenders on that side of the field? It's a waste.
Absolutely. I think my biggest problem is the greedy player. That's my problem, right? You don't have to be a hero, right? You can have 11 guys who are a hero, just like the Cal Stanford game. Nobody remembers who scored the touchdown, right? They just remember how all the laterals, and then all of a sudden they were able to take a score. But everybody gets the lateral, and they think that they're going to be the hero.
How do you run out of bounds?
That's a whole nother story.
Like, right? You don't know where you are on the football field, and you end it by running out of bounds. I got nothing for you, buddy.
You have to coach the play. You have to practice it. I'm tired of watching ineptness on this last play, right? These guys know what they're doing, but all of a sudden you get this last play, and it is like watching a bunch of 7-year-olds playing flag football, running all around the field. It's like, what are you doing? Anyways, that's one of the issues that I have, Stevie D. Stevie D, other things that happened in the league this past week, right, as we go through week 10, probably one of the bigger shockers of the week was the Baltimore Ravens, which very, very happy. Thank you to the Miami Dolphins. You
Wow.
rarely will hear me say that,
Wow.
uh, but thank you. Now let's talk about the Ravens. What the hell's going on over there?
You know, you get embarrassed on Thursday night football. That was an embarrassment at 22-10.
It,
Embarrassment.
it was.
Right. There was nothing redeeming about that game at all. And another thing, John Harbaugh, before you go crazy because you think an official missed a call, can you stop acting like a clown on the sideline every time you think you missed a call? Because you look like a fool because on all the replays that everybody's showing, it's showing that it was the right call and it wasn't even close. So can we
Well,
stop the animation on the sideline?
in fairness to him,
I
they
don't
get
like him.
a
So,
whole lot of calls in all the games, right? They really do.
but that one was not a missed call and it wasn't
Sure,
even close.
sure.
And he is always doing those antics on the sidelines when he doesn't when he on a perceived call that he got. But anyway, I just because John Harbaugh is weighing on me there at the Ravens, I've fallen out of. I used to thought he was a good coach, and now I'm kind of falling out of the graces with him there.
Yeah.
But I tell you, 22-10, and Tua didn't even start. Right, Jacoby was a mess in that first half. He couldn't do anything right.
But he got hurt. That's why Tua came in.
Oh, is that why he came? Because I didn't know he got hurt, and that's why he came in. I
Yeah.
just saw Tua come in, and
Brissett's still a mess.
Right.
You're right, he's a mess. But well, let me rephrase this. Tua came in
right before half.
The excuse probably was the fact that Brissett, because he was hurt, he got hurt on a play, but they probably said, we're going nowhere with this guy, so bring Tua in, and not like he's the savior, right?
But I look at the Ravens, right? You lose the embarrassment game there, and you get embarrassed at home against the Bengals. Really, if you want to consider yourself a top team, and I don't want to hear about injuries to running backs because you got embarrassed. No injuries to running backs had nothing to do with those embarrassing losses. I mean, they were very embarrassing losses, and people put Lamar Jackson into the MVP, kind of conversation. Sorry, he's nowhere near. And I think she works for NFL Network, Cynthia Freeland. All right, and she was talking this past weekend, even after that performance, like it was just one bad performance. You should count on, look at him for MVP. And honestly, you throw two eggs like that. Nah, I'm sorry.
So I'll tell you, there's two things that I see there. The first is I've noticed a big change in the Greg Roman play calling, right? Because there's been a higher impetus for the Ravens to pass the ball
Yes, yes.
as opposed to really running the ball like they have over the last 2 or 3 years. And that's Greg Roman's bread and butter right there, right? Getting the quarterback read option, design draws, design sweeps, what have you. And then the other thing, and they may go hand in hand in a way, is that the defenses are actually starting to play the way that the Titans showed, the way that the Bills showed, right? Where you're very disciplined on the edge, right? So before you had these guys that were sack hungry, trying to go after, and they were crashing down, and it would leave this gaping, side of the field open. Lamar just takes off on the side of the field and is gone, right? He's getting 20, 30 yards. And now what the Titans showed, what the Bills showed, is if you have good contain, you're boxing Jackson in, right? If you get the push up the middle, now he can't really evade or elude. And by the time he zigzags to get free, you have support from your linebackers and your safeties. So now that's happening, and you're seeing more teams do that. So again, it may be a chicken and an egg type deal. I still believe that if the Ravens were to go back to what was, again, their bread and butter, the way JB likes to call Lamar Jackson, right, the best running back in the league, but you go back to that, I think you'd see a stronger offensive performance.
Well, then you wonder if the running back situation there, but then you traded Mark Ingram back to the Saints, and right, so
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah, good point.
they've abandoned that thought process this year with all the injuries they have with the running backs, and maybe that's why they're throwing it more because of the injuries to the running backs. But I think what it's showing is Lamar Jackson is a somewhat of a limited passer, and I know you guys have all. I like Lamar Jackson. Uh, I don't have a problem with Lamar Jackson. I thought he was going to develop more into a passer. I thought the running was going to be up to a point. Get your feet wet in the NFL. You still use your legs, but I really wanted to see him throw, and maybe he's keying too much into Hollywood Brown and not spreading the ball out more, and maybe the defense can say, hey, we're going to pay more attention to Hollywood Brown. And
Yeah, but when you throw to Sammy Watkins, who has a step on the safety around the corner,
Sammy
and,
Watkins will not be on the field to play, right?
and then he alligator arms it because he's afraid he's going to hit the goalpost, even though the goalpost is 3 yards to your left, and you're like looking like I just threw the perfect rainbow pass and you missed it.
Yeah.
Well, then you may have to go to Hollywood Brown. You're looking at this guy like, are you hearing voices again? Like you said you were hearing them in Buffalo? Aliens talking to you? Yeah,
Wow.
something's going on with Sammy. Something's going on with Sammy. Stevie D, if we look at other contenders there in the AFC, I don't, how do I put it? I don't get the Tennessee Titans.
Good coaching. Very good coaching.
Can't
Come on
stand
now.
the coach. Won't
What's
give him
up?
any credit. Can't stand the coach. Won't give him any credit.
Yeah, well, whether you like him or not, it's good coaching. It's good coaching.
I won't give it. I refuse to give him credit. Not a fan. Not a
Okay.
fan. But
Okay.
again, because
You're not a fan, you're not a fan.
your boy TB12 tells you that Vrabel's a good coach. Now all of a sudden, there you go talking about good coaching. You should call your boy back and say, "Listen, yeah, just like you, we're gonna get it in." But good coaching or not, good coaching or not, I am very surprised because I really did expect with the loss of Derrick Henry that we would see a significant decline. When you look at the receivers that they have, right? They have AJ Brown, and then they have Julio Jones.
Who's on IR now? He's
Right.
out for at least 3 weeks, I think.
But he really wasn't doing anything.
No.
And both receivers were hurt. And then you bring in, 45, 52, 78-year-old Adrian Peterson, right? You bring him in. I know he's still built like, he's 22 years old, but he's
Hey, don't knock that 45 yards rushing he got. It was very, very strategic, important 45 yards he was able to get.
But you're joking. You say it in jest, but it's true, right? It's true, and it's smoke and mirrors right now, right? Is it a house of cards that's going to fall in a couple of weeks? I'm really praying and hoping that it does because
I know you do, but and I go whether you want to give credit to Vrabel, you want to give credits to the DC or the offensive coordinator or the other important coaches on the team that are keeping those players up and motivated and playing at the highest level that they can play and get out of them. And to me, it's the players stepping up, obviously doing the job, the coaches coaching them up, making sure they're in the right spots and the right schemes and understanding the tape of their opponent. You got to give them some credit. I know you think Tennessee's the armpit and cesspool,
we're
but
talking about the cesspool of the NFL, right? It's really hard for me.
These thoughts are not the thoughts of official.
They're mine, absolutely, 100%. Because this is the team that was really trying to bring down the NFL last year, right? Yeah,
I think it goes back way further than last year. I'm just going to throw it out there. Okay, I'm going to throw it out there. I feel a Wade Phillips.
Hold on. Straight line.
It was a backwards pass. Okay,
this is forward, right?
You have the teleprompter going, so I'm thinking you're really more mad at Wade Phillips, Ralph Wilson, Rob Johnson, not understanding why Doug Flutie was a quarterback in that game type of thing. And maybe if Doug was quarterbacking, you're not even in that position at the point of the game.
Now, if the referees would have done their job, then Rob Johnson would have gotten the win. That you got it.
But you got to
talk about that. I'm just talking about last year how they refused to follow the NFL's guidelines. Right? We want to get on Aaron Rodgers, and literally, you almost caused chaos because different teams had to move weeks, had to realign days of when you're playing Tuesday night football. We don't have Tuesday night football.
Excuse me, this is Mike Vrabel. We're not here to talk about the past. We're only here to talk about the future.
And again, why I call them the cesspool of the NFL. It's going to take a lot. But Stevie D, there's some, a couple other things, as we get close to wrapping this one up, a couple other things I want to talk about. The first was probably, the feel-good story of the NFL last week, besides the Bills beating the Jets and rebounding. That's feel-good for Bills Mafia 716. But Cam Newton.
Cam, whoa.
Two touchdowns, right? Yeah. And for somebody, I appreciate what Cam did in his first stint there in Carolina, right? I think that Cam was a victim of the NFL, right? And what I mean by that is just because he was a certain size and a certain weight and he played a position that anybody else outside of the name of Cam Newton had all kinds of protections that, they had a halo around them where if you got anywhere close to them, right, even if you were a mobile quarterback, right, you were protected. Cam, right, wasn't afforded that. Cam would get tackled, and like a running back, there would be two guys jumping in, three guys jumping in, taking shots at his head.
How about the face mask, the heads, the twisting of the face, all this stuff that he would take this punishment, and you're like, and Cam is falling down to the ground on an illegal hit, and he's like, and he still doesn't get the flag. Like, are you kidding me?
And so, for him, it definitely was unfair, right?
Yeah.
His body took a toll on that, right? Mm-hmm. Probably aged faster than, some of his peers there. Ultimately, now, Cam was never a great accurate passer, but he's a playoff Super Bowl leading. Ooh, can't believe I said that. Exhibition game leading quarterback, right? And that's what he was. He didn't win the exhibition game, but he took his team there. So he has the ability to lead that offense. But then, because of all of the beatings that he's taking, because the body's breaking down a little bit, he wasn't, when it came time for free agency, nobody wanted him.
Well, and here's the thing too. I thought Carolina did him dirty.
Absolutely.
They cut him late. They cut him late and screwed him over, right? And I when you're talking about the guy that resurrected the franchise and made them relevant again, brought you to a Super Bowl, right? And 15-1, you can say whatever you want. That's an historic season going 15-1. Not a lot of teams in the history of the game went 15-1. And he led that team to a 15-1 record, right? He did. That was a special season he had at quarterback. And for him to be cut like that, the face of the franchise, the way he was, it was very puzzling. The way they cut him and the timing of in which they cut him, I thought that was very foul. Left a bad taste in a lot. Football fans that truly love the NFL, fans of the game, I think collectively would say Carolina did him dirty, and that was not right.
For sure. Now his stint there in Foxborough, it was what it was.
I personally, what I thought it was, I don't know this to be true. I don't know if Cam really grasped that playbook the way they wanted him to, so they used him as a runner. I don't know. I mean, you've seen players come in and out of there really quick if they don't get the playbook down, right? So you see players come in and out real quick, right? The Patriots don't mess around. If you don't know the scheme, you're either not going to play or you're out and you're gone. So I don't know if it was something like that because he did pass and it did not look pretty last year with New England. Sometimes that I saw him throwing, like, oh, where's that throw going? He was a heck of a runner. But at the end of the day, he didn't get to showcase what Cam could do altogether because it was really they ran.
I don't think there's much to showcase though.
Yeah, well, that's fair too. I was trying to help Cam there with the, I was trying to help him be nice.
Right?
It was bad. It was ugly, and it's great that you can come home again.
Yeah, exactly. He's
Right.
back. It's a good story, right? Whether or not it's going to parlay into maybe a 2-year deal or just a single.
Well, they opened the door. They
What's that?
opened the door when they signed him. They said you are playing for the starting position next year. So they've already thrown it out, even though you got Sam. And I don't know if that's a motivation for Sam to get healthy, get back on the field, or wake up because they already gave Sam the 50-year option. But at the end of the day, if you're not paying Cam a lot of money and you got Sam sitting the bench making a lot of money, it evens out because there's some issues there beyond Cam and Cam being there. I mean, Sam's in a whole bunch of trouble.
What was the statement? The Panthers signed and are paying the guy who they paid to release the guy who they paid the guy who is now backing up the guy that they're paying. So it was something crazy. Basically, what they're talking about, still paying for Teddy Bridgewater, paying Sam, and now re-signed and paying Cam.
You should have said Cam the whole time.
Right,
Save yourself a bunch of money.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Stevie D, 2 last things I want to talk about. Head scratchers. What San Francisco, there you go. What San Francisco did to the Rams on Monday night.
Holy cow.
But if you think about it, the Cleveland Brown fans, the New York Giant fans, they all knew what was going to happen, right? OBJ goes to the Rams, 3rd play of the game, interception. Now, I can't exclusively call that on OBJ, right? It was 3rd down and distance. OBJ runs basically a fly pattern, right? Where Stafford was throwing, I don't know. Now, did OBJ miss the route? Very well.
Yeah, that's what they came out and said it was a miscommunication, is what they said.
Sure, but on who, right? Was he supposed to?
Yeah.
Did he
I'm assuming it's OBJ.
Now, I will say, in defense of Beckham, that's a poor decision on Stafford for throwing into double coverage.
Well, Matthew Stafford in the last couple of weeks have made some very poor decisions.
Yes, he has.
Right? He was the golden child out there when everything was great. Now all of a sudden they can't win.
Call him the greatest thing in the world.
Well, you keep making those silly mistakes. I mean, there were bad mistakes that he's had made the last few weeks. And the Rams cannot be regarded as a top tier team right now. They got to be knocked down a peg. They may be still in the top 10, but they're on the outskirts of.
I don't know if they're in the top 10. I really don't. Something is off. They have the talent, but once again, it's a team that feels as though if they go and buy all the talent around there, they'll have, right? We saw this with the Redskins back in the day.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
We saw this. Well, back then they were the Redskins. Now the Washington football team. But we saw what they did, right? They've spent all the money. Jason Taylor, Bruce Smith, who they get? Marco Coleman. They had all these guys that they were signing up left and right, figuring they were going to have this great Super Bowl defense. Didn't work. And there's been other teams where it hasn't worked. So
it just doesn't work. I don't like to know how they get all this money.
I do too.
They have a cap specialist beyond cap specialist and how they're able to work this. But what I'll say, it all comes back. And what you're sacrificing today to get that title, you're going to pay for it down the road. Those lost draft picks, all that stuff, you're selling your soul to the devil.
Absolutely.
To win now, and you're going to have to that paycheck that's going to come due on your draft picks. So if you don't win, it's really bad for your franchise.
So I'm going to read 2 stat lines for you, Stevie D. We're going to play a little game. All right, are you ready? Hands on your buzzer.
I don't like these these impromptu things. Now I'm getting nervous because I don't like to get it wrong. But all right, here we go.
Hands on your buzzers. All right, here we go.
Wait a minute, Jay, you got that?
All right. So here's the stat line:
Okay.
26 completions, 32 attempts, 256 yards, one touchdown, 110 passer rating. 23 of 34, 220 yards, two touchdowns, two interceptions, a quarterback rating of 80.5.
Well, okay. I know where you're going. All right. And the reason why I know the second one, because he's on my fantasy team and he really hurt me. I needed those points. The first
That's
quarter.
not Josh Allen, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, for the record.
Well, this league I get two quarterbacks.
That Josh Allen was his fantasy
Yeah.
quarterback.
No,
This is not the fantasy team he's talking about.
No. I do. I get an offensive player, so I use it as a quarterback. So on the team with Josh Allen, I do have TB12 was the quarterback number 2, and Heineke is quarterback number 1 of the Washington football team.
Absolutely. And the reason why I bring those stats up, TB12, we'll talk about it. That's your boy. I'll let you chime in. But Heineke, think about this. Back-to-back games against the Buccaneers. First time you said no tape. Mm-hmm. Well, now they have plenty of tape. Plus, they have their own game tape against this guy.
Right? Oh, the Buccaneer defense is all banged up, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not gonna say that that this game was just earth shattering, because it wasn't. Right? He only threw one touchdown, but he protected the ball. Right?
Unlike Tom Brady.
And when you look at the time of possession that they had the ball for 40 minutes. Right? It's amazing that Brady got 34 passes off because they had the ball only for 20 minutes. Granted, they ran the ball 13 times, right? So that would kind of explain it. I mean, all total, if you think about it, that's 47 offensive plays in a league now where 60, 70 plays is the norm. But I think you need to sound the alarms. You just heard the alarm there, right in time. You need to sound the alarms. Right, because something's not right there.
It's not right because
you're missing Antonio Brown, and I don't.
That's right.
That missing.
No, that's what it is. Because I think Tom is focusing and doing a lot with Antonio Brown, and Rob is hurt, and I think it's throwing the offense off. I still don't think Mike Evans and Tom Brady are on the same page, because Mike Evans is such a weapon. And he's hardly used game after game. He's hardly used. Now, I know the other day or a couple weeks ago, he had 2 touchdowns. But he had 2 receptions for, I think, 63 yards. Mike freaking Evans should have more than 2 catches for 63 yards every week. Every week he should have more. There's something off on that offensive, the offensive side of the ball. It's broken, and it's broken because Antonio Brown and Tom Brady's,
But how is this
favorite target?
Think about this. When Brady signed last year, right? It was Godwin and it was Evans. Right, and they were the ones that were caught going out, at the high school throwing the ball around. There's no Antonio Brown. Gronk may have been there, not sure. You had all that time to develop a rapport. Mike Evans is no slouch at a wide receiver, right? Chris Godwin is no slouch at a wide receiver. But then working with these guys, that the previous year, the quarterback threw for 5,000 yards, right? Using these 2 guys, right? Now you come in and all of a sudden they can't sniff, 63 yards. They're getting like 5 or 6 passes, and then you go to Jason Light and you say, hey, I need to get Antonio Brown. You don't need Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
You have 2 number 1 wide receivers out there, but you're neglecting to go to these wide receivers because you want to throw to your friends. That's what it boils down to. And that's why you start throwing up stat lines like this against a Washington football team who's missing Chase Young, who got hurt during the game.
Is that awful for that young kid? Oh, God.
Greatest thing. I feel so bad for him. Greatest thing. Chase Young told them with the cart, I don't want the cart.
No, dude.
He's the man. That's how you do it. No disrespect to any of the guys that I have seen get carried off on the cart, right? But you see so many guys just, the towel over the head and that's it. This guy's like, let me get on the shoulder and walk me to the side. He's done for the year, but you have to appreciate it. Then you kind of look at the other guys, and you're just like, really? That's my guy right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do feel bad. The question we'll see in the weeks to come, we'll see what happens in Tampa. JB likes to call the hangover. I don't believe in the hangover, right? But I will say something is off.
Well, fair point. You're coming off your bye and you lose by 10 to the Washington football team, right? You're supposed to be a favorite to win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl, and you lose by 10 on the road coming off a bye to a Washington football team.
Yeah. So
bizarre.
Well, Stevie D, we made it. Another week in the books. Try not talking with ice in your mouth. That's a little tip, little note to self. I was hoping that you go a little bit further so that I can finish chewing the piece of ice.
It's called karma. What goes around comes around. You wanted to bust my chops earlier. That's how I got you back.
Yeah, I mean, you cut me short, right? You stopped short of me. But no, it was good. We played another week in the books. I do enjoy this. I think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the interactions from some of our subscribers and our viewers that come in here. I like that Terry likes to give you crap.
It's all fun. It's all good.
And my man SLT, we will have the show dedicated to you. We may have to bring you on, L, and then you can talk about the downer. We will have to put all disclaimers and warnings as we do that. But
I'm dying to hear about this. Let's get him on the phone after the show. Right? I don't want to hear it. Come on, Al.
Stories upon stories. Oh boy. But another good show, another one in the books. We want to thank everybody who, again, participated, all of those that like and subscribe. Obviously, you can tweet at us at Real OWSports. You can look for us on Instagram at OWSports. And by the way, there's a little new branding that's going on. Turn it around, OWSports.net. We're changing things up, right? Kind of make it a little shorter, make it easier. But we go by OW Sports, right? So you can still look for us at officialwordsports.com or do searches for that. But we're going to start working and do some heavy promotions with OW Sports just because it's easier, it fits. Plus, I kind of like the hat, right? I'm feeling all of that.
That's legit right there.
All the good things that are there. So, but again, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Always good to chat with you. And then we're gonna catch up to you. We have the holidays coming up, so look for maybe some schedule changes. If things kind of don't work out the way we need it to, either I'll run it solo, Stevie D. I'll sit in the captain's chair, or we'll see a way to try to get you on. Maybe we'll just do a recording and then post that recording. We'll see. There's plenty of ways to get the content out there, but always good to have fun. If you miss our next show, I will say early enough to everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Obviously, we'll say it on our next show, but happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe through the holidays. Stay safe through Black Friday shopping, which is already, just a side note, it's already started now. It's already started.
Right? There's always that one store that wants to get the jump on all the others, right?
Right. We're 2 weeks out. It started.
It started on a Tuesday. So it doesn't even count. Come on.
I'm. We're gonna have a whole nother show just about Black Friday shopping and holidays in general. I'm done with it, right? And people have no respect for the holidays. We're gonna do a show on holidays. We're gonna rank the holidays, and then we're gonna rank the shopping of the holidays and how people don't respect the holiday. We're gonna do that.
And if anybody's got access to a PS5, can you hit me up on Facebook? Because I'm in desperate need of a PS5.
All right, everybody. So for my co-host Stevie D, I'm Vince. We'll talk to you soon.